Hey guys, welcome back to another video, another Yap Sesh. After a couple days off, um, I feel like I have kind of missed this. Sitting here making the videos. Um, as you can see, the camera setup kind of changed. Um, I went to Maine, um, and I was all over Maine pretty much. And I went to Acadia, was where I spent the most of my like Acadia National Park was where I spent the most of my time. And I gotta say, my love for nature just continues to increase. It is absolutely gorgeous out there. There's no better word to describe it. To be honest, um, it felt kind of nice in a strange way to start making these videos, but it also kind of made me sad, more so, I think, because I really do like talking, just expressing, some things that I want to talk about. So yeah, I'm back. Um, it is my last year, so of high school, so I wanted to really soak it all in, I guess is what you could say. And yeah, it was incredible. So yeah, back to the setup. Things are actually kind of workable now. I have an actual phone stand, so no more $3 setup and an actual microphone, which is supposed to clip into my shirt, but I kind of just like holding it. Kind of makes me feel like a reporter. Um, but yeah, that is all thanks to my parents. I did not ask for it, and they just did it. So thank you guys. Love you. Um, yeah, a couple things I want to talk about. My trip to Acadia was amazing, and I think I want to talk about it in conjunction with things that I already want to talk about. So if I think that my trip to Acadia kind of applies to something else that I want to talk about, or my trip or something I did in Maine generally applies to what I want to talk about, then I'm just gonna do it. But I don't want to kind of just throw this all now and then like later on I kind of feel like I'm just like a broken record almost. So that's kind of my plans in that regard. So yeah, I guess tomorrow I'll start talking about Maine, um, and my experience there. But now I think I kind of just want to talk about friendship because a big thing for me in Maine that wouldn't have made this trip as good as if I did it differently is that I went with one of my best friends. Um, and what made that so incredible is it's kind of just that feeling of like comfort almost. It's just like there's just like a peace um, when I'm with this person, and I think it kind of made me think about friendship a lot and kind of just what it means. Uh, at the end of the day, you're kind of gonna end up in some facet, similar to how the people you surround yourself act. So if you, for example, surround yourself with a bunch of people who are overly negative, you might start to see yourself becoming very negative as well. And I mean, in that sense, you just have to keep yourself in check because just as people could do something, well, I mean, they're not trying to, but have that kind of bad influence on you without you realizing it. They can also have great influences with you, like the exact opposite. Say you're friends with a bunch of people who are super positive, you might start to have a more positive outlook on life, and that's great. Um, like honestly, if you have a positive outlook on life, everything will be better. Just that's it. And so it's all about who you surround yourself with and who you're choosing to give your time to. And it doesn't mean that if your friends who are negative like reached out to you when you didn't have a lot of friends or when you really needed some company, it doesn't mean like, okay, now I can just take them for granted and kind of just cut them off after all these years. Obviously, no one's thinking. I hope not thinking like that. In that regard, anyway. Um, because I feel like sometimes it is good to cut people off, but only when it's really necessary. And in this sense, it's really not. Um, it's just about prioritizing yourself. And if you saw yourself hanging out with these negative people and you thought oh man, I'm really starting to think negative and I can't really, and everything's kind of in like this monotone gray around you and you're kind of in your head, um, well, then you kind of got to think about how much time you really want to be spending with them, you know? Because at the end of the day, if it makes you feel bad, is it really worth something worth pursuing? I don't think so. And honestly, if you disagree with me, that's totally fine. Again, I'm totally open to any criticism. And if you have any original viewpoint that I don't talk about in this video, I would love to hear it. Um, so yeah, yeah. So surrounding yourself with people who are positive is very important, and have positive attributes is very very important. Um, the majority of the time, or no, all the time, um, I don't like to speak in absolutes, but I think this one kind of is. Everyone has their things, you know. No one's life is this magical like sunshine and rainbows thing. The real world is sometimes it's harsh, just as harsh as it can be beautiful, and that's the reality of it. And so in that regard, it always causes some people to have some type of negative trait. I mean, for me, like I can speak for myself. I'm very stubborn. I'm a very stubborn person. Um, and that's something I think I'm trying to work on with this video. Again, it always be improving on these little things that are holding you down kind of comes from these little chips at it where you're really focusing on just this one thing at a time and then moving on to the next thing and moving on to the next thing until you as a whole are a better person. That's at least what I think. um and yeah, so just prioritize yourself, work on those things, and make sure that you're keeping yourself around people who uplift you for the most part. People who respect you, treat you like you matter, and that you are actually worth their time because they are. Back to what I was saying, these people are always going to have a negative trait. There's no one who's perfect. So in that regard, um, you that's what I mean by you can't just cut someone off. So like say someone's like super kind to you, caring, gives you very thoughtful gifts, shows you that they care about you, but they're negative. Like I said before, that doesn't mean, "Oh, okay, I need to take away all my time possible from this person." No, it's still perfectly fine for you to really care about that person. You spent so much time getting to know them. Why would you really give that all up? So in short, it's kind of just about limiting the amount of time that you're around them. And as weird as that might sound, it's totally fine. All of us need me time. That's just kind of how it is. Overall, I think that you need at least a couple days to yourself, or it becomes like minimum between like 5 to 8 days where you kind of just focus on yourself, on your responsibilities, things that you need to do. Obviously, you should always be a priority, but these are kind of like, at least in ages similar to mine, where you should be really, really focused. Those days should be like super hyper focused on yourself, taking care of yourself, your mind, your emotional state, your physical health. Is obviously more of like a constant thing, but yeah, it's just all about keeping yourself uplifted. And sometimes you don't need people to do that. Sometimes the best way you can do that is just by caring for yourself, like I said. Um, so yeah, to be honest, it's nothing wrong with being friends with someone who's negative or anything like that, because everyone has bad traits, like I said. Um, but when you're around that person too much is when those things kind of start to take hold. Is my point. So by limiting your time from them, whether it's kind of like a couple days a week that you kind of just have to yourself, like a certain day that you know that you are just going to have for you time, a certain time in a day, then yeah, it's kind of just like freeing because you get to really look at yourself and think, this is who I am, and you kind of think of yourself as more as an individual than people who say don't take that time for themselves and then kind of get lost in their in finding out who they really are because they didn't spend the time to do that. when they had more free time, you know? And honestly, it's not like something we have to do while we're young. Anyone can do it, and it just takes healthy conversation. Say like you're used, or this person is used to seeing you all the time whenever they want, and you're just not in the mood anymore, and you need a couple days to just take a break. There's if they're your friend, they're gonna respect that you need some time off, and if they can't handle that, then it is what it is. It's not, again, it's not to the point where it's like I'm gonna stop being friends with you. It's not. It should honestly never be that if it's a good friendship, something that matters to both of you. Um, but if they can't like really respect your time, and the fact that you need some time, it's really just more of just saying to yourself, they can't force me to spend time with them. Like it's just it can't. They can't do that. So just focus on yourself and just don't do it. Because again, they can't force you to spend time with them. As much as you might feel bad, just push through it. And I know it's probably not as easy as just push through it, but sometimes you really just gotta look at yourself in the mirror and say, what's more important, spending time with this person or my mental health? And to me, at least, it's always your mental health because you don't want to end up in a pit because you're trying to endlessly please people. That should never be the goal of your life. It's always just care for people, right? But understand as you do that, that you need to also care for yourself. And you should always be your priority. Because it's not like the mindset of looking out for number one. It's more of if I look out for myself, I'm looking out for everyone around me because it makes me a better person. And that's it. Um, yeah, that's the majority of what I wanted to say today. It's nice to be back, honestly. It's good to just talk. And yeah, I will see you guys tomorrow.